Valguero has a lot of iconic rat holes, and we can only hope that they will be here when Ascended releases. So let's go ahead and cover my top 10 best rat holes to look for on Valguero Ascended. First up, this can be found at 40.5 latitude and 61.6 longitude, and then here it is on the map. Now this can be found over in the aberration zone. It can be found almost in the purple area, just kind of a little bit above it in the green zone, but you can find it in this little corner. And you do have area to build cliff platforms, but this is going to change because a lot of it has changed whenever they convert it over. As of right now, you cannot build up in here, but when it goes into Ascended, you should be able to build in here because they fixed a lot of the aberration bugs. But first of all, you have this corner for the most part that you can build on. It is pretty nice. But when you come up in here, you have your rat hole. Now this rat hole isn't horrible. It's more of a smaller location for a couple players to kind of live in. But you got a little bit of room in here. You know, it's nothing too crazy, but it does make for an okay spot. Now rat holes play a pretty big role in just how you survive on ARK. So without a lot of these rat holes, it would be a little bit stressful and, you know, you'd have to be building out in the open. But without Mitra 9, you would also be stressed out. Mitra 9 is a non-alcoholic supplement that quite literally makes you feel good. These drinks give you a high, but without the impairment. They have a ton of great flavors, my favorite being root beer. If you're looking for a new drink to replace your coffee in the morning, Mitra is the way to go. Simply go to mitra9.com and use my code OUTCAST for 25% off your entire order. Now, back to the video. And up next, this can be found at 45.0 latitude and 41.4 longitude. And then here it is on the map. Now this can be found over in the underwater region, so you have to kind of get down here. There's a couple different ways you can go down through the cave systems, and you'll eventually figure out how to get down here. But yeah, over here in this corner, here, I'll go out so you guys can see a little bit better because it's a little bit hard to see under here. But over here in this little corner down here, it should be pretty easy to spot. If you fly right down in here, you have this little opening. So you do have this area to build on the exterior if you really want to. But overall, you have a pretty good amount of room in here. I mean, yes, compared to other rat holes on this list, it's not as crazy. It is a nice little underwater one for you guys because I know a couple of you guys are probably going to be building under here. So it's definitely one to look for. Hopefully this one will stay and maybe get a little bit bigger. But I know that we're going to get a lot of different and new rat holes, so we can only kind of hope for those. But yeah, as you can see, that's the size of a vacuum compartment in here. So you can fit a good amount of them. Then up next, this can be found at 10.5 latitude and 70.2 longitude, and then here it is on the map. Now this can be found over in the little wyvern scar in the fire wyvern area. So you gotta go down this ramp. So your entrance, I believe, is right above here. You just kind of go down here in a little circle, and you're gonna look for this area right here. It is hard to spot, so you gotta kind of watch your screen a little bit. But kind of like there's this pillar, and then this one is right in between here. It's kind of easy to spot once you find it. But yeah, here's your entrance right here. Now it is a little bit tricky as you need a Pelagornis to get in here, or just something that can fly, maybe a bed or something, I don't know. But yeah, so you can come in here just like that. It is a little tricky to get in and out, but I mean, when you enter into here, you can kind of see why. Now this is considered a mesh hole, so you will technically get banned for living in here. But it is one of the better rat holes on this list. You just got to be careful and just not build down here. If you build up here, you might be okay on some unofficial, but I think you're still probably going to get banned. So just kind of be careful what you do in here. But if you wanted to go down here, you can. I wouldn't really recommend it because there are some death walls in here that will kill you. And who knows with Ascended, they might have a death wall under here. They might have lava under here. It's hard to know how they're going to be building it. But yeah, just stay away from this area under here unless you just like living in the mesh. And I would just stick only to the top. Next up, this can be found at 82.0 latitude and 87.0 longitude. And this one is pretty much one of my favorites on here. It can be found on the map over here in the bottom right hand corner, over in these little white cliffs region. Now this is one of my favorites because of one simple reason. Because of how small that the rat hole is, which might sound a little weird. So when you come over here, as you can see, you have this little cliff area right here. There's your little ruins of the castle or whatever that is, I'm not entirely sure. And you'll see this platform right here. Well, underneath this platform, you actually have a rat hole. Now you will need a Pelagornis to get in here. It's the only way in and out. So go ahead and get yourself that. And then as you can see, once you're in, you got a nice little rat hole in here. Now you can fit almost everything, you just can't fit an indie forge in here. You can also walk all the way back in here, so you can put forges or something. But yeah, the only thing that doesn't fit is an indie forge, you know, a replicator and all that. But if you're a solo and you want to live a little bit hidden, defending this is pretty easy too. All you gotta do is spam turrets outside and you're pretty much good for the most part. Hopefully this rat hole will stay, but you know, they might end up patching it. So, you know, we can only hope. And then we have this one, which can be found at 37.7 latitude and 38.0 longitude. Then there it was on the map. But this is another underwater one, so again, you just gotta find your way under the map. Now there is an entrance right over here, which does kind of help. I believe that is one of the caves. You can come out here, and then you're literally right here, which does kind of downgrade this rat hole a little bit. But yeah, you can still find it over here on this cliffside. Now this is a bit of a bigger one because it has a bigger styled entrance. I mean, you have a good amount of room in here. So if you're good with defending this main entrance, it's a little bit of a bigger one. But it goes pretty far back in here. I mean, it goes all the way over into here. Also drops down right in here. It's just a bit of an awkward one to work with. So yeah, it's kind of up to you if you want to live in here or not. Next up, this one can be found at 9.5 latitude and 19.3 longitude. Then here it is on the map. Now this is a pretty iconic one that is still here to this day, and they have not patched it. I don't know how, but yeah, this can be found right at Blue Ob. So if you're looking to do some boss fights or just transfer out very easily, this is a pretty good one for you. But it's also kind of a bad one because everybody knows this spot. So kind of up to you. But yeah, just simply look for this little rock and these crystals right here. It's a little bit hard to find considering there are a bunch of crystals, but it is the first crystals on the ramp. Then you're going to want to go down here, and then you got to crouch. I mean, you don't really have to crouch, but yeah, here's your rat hole. It opens up down into here, and you have a significant amount of room to work with. Just biggest issue, you know, because you're kind of building down. Defending it's not the easiest thing to do. So if you can figure out how to kind of build compact and push everything back, you might be able to put just a bunch of turrets in here. But if people do have a cluster grenade, yeah, your base is kind of cooked. So you need to build on the exterior. It's going to be very tricky. And I do have this little back area, and you have the option to get into this room, which isn't really anything too crazy. It's just kind of another area to store some stuff, but it's not really that big. Next up, this can be found at 46.6 latitude and 91.9 longitude. Then here it is on the map. Now, this one can be found over in the dense jungle area. And this one is pretty hard to find. All you gotta do is really look for this bridge though, but it is a little bit tricky. Or look for this lake. It's kind of a path leading up the lake. Castle is right there just for reference, and then you have the ob right there. But yeah, just look for the big bridge. It's gonna change probably, but it should be about the same layout. Now hopefully ARK doesn't fix this, but I think that this one will get patched. But yeah, this is the kind of man-made rat hole in a way. I feel like they kind of intentionally put this as a little cave, but it actually works pretty well as a rat hole if you know what you're doing. So when you first enter into here, this has water, at least that's what people think. They just kind of forgot to put water physics in here, and to this day still have not put water physics. I don't know why. They should have patched this, but I guess that kind of makes it a little bit more overpowered considering that there is no water, so people can't swim. So yeah, when you come up here, this is your little cave rat hole area. You have a significant amount of room. It doesn't look like a lot, but when you're building compact, you actually have a little bit more room than you think. On Ascended, it is going to be nerfed quite a bit though, because everything can't be clipped anymore. Like back in the day, you can clip literally everything into everything. It was so nice. So, but yeah, when you get rid of all these rocks, you actually have quite a bit of room to work within here. It's just, I think Ascended's gonna patch the water issue or just kind of redevelop this altogether. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this stays. And next up, this one can be found at 11.5 latitude and 71.9 longitude. And then here it is on the map. A little bit hard to find, but it is, again, just in this little wyvern scar. A couple of these actually are. But yeah, this can be found over here. So there's your main area in. Come over to the right, and you'll see this area. Now this is very difficult to find. So you just go to my exact coordinates. I'm trying to show you around, but it's kind of hard. And then just fly straight. And you'll see these little wyvern hexagon things. So just look for this little entrance right here. And then as you can see, this is your rat hole. Now it's not the biggest thing in the world, but it's just the fact that you have a security in here, which is the wyverns, which are going to help keep players out. So it kind of spans a little weirdly in here. Like this area goes all the way down in here. It's just really tiny. And then this area goes all the way down over here and actually keeps going down into here. So it's not like a crazy big spot to build in, but it's definitely something to take a look out for, or just look out for a lot of these types of areas. Yeah, this is technically another entrance, but you can't get in there. So I would recommend definitely looking for a lot of these similar spots. Hopefully they keep, this one, because this one's been around for a while. But yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of spots like this, hopefully some better ones as well. Next up, this can be found at 15.5 latitude and 73.7 longitude. Then here it is on the map. Again, it's pretty difficult to spot that map one. But yeah, so this can also be found over in the Wyvern Scar. That one location was right there. This one is literally right here. So just go right where you see those like 6 hexagons or the 5 hexagons, and just go straight up on that bottom one right there. And you're gonna need a torch for these areas because it's a little bit dark. Once you fly straight up to the ceiling, you'll find this little area. Now, this was a pretty popular area back in the day because a lot of people actually like to live up here, and it worked pretty well as long as you had one turret on wild to kill the wyverns in here. People never even knew that anybody was in here because nobody ever checked this spot. I personally built in this and it worked pretty well for a while until a lot of videos got out, and yeah, that kind of got me for a bit and kind of made this spot not as great. But I mean, if you're looking for a nice spot in the scar that has, you know, that extra security measure, I would highly recommend it. It's not a big spot, so you're not going to have a lot of room. And with the clipping in here, I don't think you can put down any forges. You might be able to if they keep the same, you know, like air with the mesh here. Hopefully this spot will stay. I think it will, because it's just kind of one of those spots. It's not really like a mesh hole or like a rat hole. So I think this spot will stay. And lastly, this can be found at 3.9 latitude and 27.4 longitude. Then here it is on the map. Now everybody should know this, you shouldn't even need the coords for this rat hole. That is Clemens rat hole. So as you can see, there's your ob just for reference. Here's your area. I'll still show it for players that don't know this. This is the most popular spot on Valguero, and probably the most popular spot on ARK, to be fair. But yeah, this is his rat hole. This is what got him pretty famous. This was the famous rat hole at the time. And well, I'll show you why. It was definitely a pretty interesting one. I feel like this was actually man-made on purpose. But yeah, here's your area. You have a great amount of room to place just a giant turret tower if you need to, or just do a lot of spam turrets around here. And that's why a lot of people love this spot, because you actually had area out front to build. It was actually interesting. Now this area was a little interesting too, because you know, it kind of hung over the rat hole, helping to secure it a little bit better. But on ASA, it's gonna be interesting to see how this is dealt with. If they patch Clemens rat hole, I'm gonna be very, very sad. But yeah, here's the rat hole right here. So, you know, here's your little entrance. It kind of spans over, and this turns into a crouch entrance. And a very, very long crouch entrance, I'll say that. So when you come in here, it will get you stuck about right here, and then you're forced to crouch into the last second. And then here's your rat hole. Now on Ascended, I don't think it's gonna work properly with just how to build in here, because you can't put 80 forges in the ceiling or anything anymore, which is one of the biggest things that I hate about Ascended. But you can fit a decent sized base with most of your stuff. It's gonna be awkward though. I'm definitely interested to see how people are gonna conquer this issue. But hopefully, you know, this rat hole will get a little bit bigger. I'm really hoping that it will, but I'm also a little worried that they're gonna patch it, and that's gonna piss off a lot of players. So yeah, anyways, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Don't forget to leave a like if you're new, and please hit that subscribe button, and thanks for watching.